welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits, coming to you from the Recycle Garage in sunny Santa Cruz, California.
It is. No sleeves, no problems.
That's a good one. Hey, everyone. This is Liza, and I just got off a plane from New York last night. I'm a little bit tired, but good to be back.
You look good.
I'm here for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to be gone a while.
Looks like you charged hard in New York, though.
I charged.
I saw the George Clooney. I don't need to steal your thunder, but...
Yeah, well, I'm going to be gone for 6 weeks consecutively. Relying on a lot of the Misfits to run the show. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, why are you looking at me?
Good point.
You mean wondering the S show.
So let's get to who's here with me tonight. First time guest of the podcast.
And royalty.
And royalty.
Reigning king.
It is Hector, a.k.a. the Farkle King.
Thank you, loyal subjects.
Yes. Also on the Classy Girl couch, sporting the Easter bunny ears because
Thank you, Scottie.
Easter. It's Neil.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy Easter. Happy 420 Easter, everyone.
Oh, you hippie.
Yeah.
You old hippie guy over there.
That's
Are
right.
you that guy? Really?
I am that guy. Super high.
I
right
didn't.
now.
I so high. I didn't wear my tie dye. I missed
Well,
the
in
trick.
my
I
mind.
totally missed
Darn
the
it.
trick.
Just
What's
saying.
going on?
On the smart side of the room,
Bagel's got us covered, though. He's got
it's
cool.
sleeveless Scottie.
Hello. It's
Hi.
so beautiful today.
It was a good day. Good day. We got some stuff done.
Yeah, lots of stuff done.
Going around the room, it's Naked Jim.
I'll chime in, too. I already got the flip-flop tan going. So that's a good barometer when you got the flip-flop tan.
And you are on my good boy list because you brought Chinese food. Thank you.
Oh, we mixed it up, too, with some short ribs in there.
Yes, good stuff. Joining us from sunny Velveeta, Oregon, it's Bagel.
Hey, happy high holy day holiday
Oh.
to all who celebrate.
Oh, that's
today.
why it's 420 Easter.
420.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay. I'm
Yes,
catching
yes.
up. I'm catching up. And then we
He
get
died, he got high. What, he lived, he got high, he lived again? How does that go?
And then
he is resin.
He is...
He is resin, is that what you said?
Resin.
Yeah, he is resin.
Oh, my
And then,
goodness.
Long water.
we got the bonus Jonas. It's Steph you.
Hi, stunting from
The stunt
Velveeta.
misfit.
Yes, stunting stuff.
Yeah.
Live and direct. So do you just go back between extreme environments, like literally the desert and then literally up in Velveeta?
yes, yes.
Okay.
From my
It was-
my driveway. Yes.
It was like 90 degrees in the desert, and now I am wearing thermals again. And this is also it's a little gloomy compared to sunny Santa Cruz.
You miss Santa Cruz, don't you?
A little bit.
Come back, Steph. Come back.
Yeah, there's always a place for you here. For
It was
sure.
nice having a playmate. I just go out and knock on the van, like, come on, let's go play. So they were trying to get
the
work
eating-
done.
Yeah, the eating scene's great though. Restaurant scenes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
It's not fair.
Oh, speaking of Chinese food, Steph gave the seal of approval to Chloe's Kitchen, formerly known as Moe's Dumpling, up on Mission.
Oh,
you got the
all right.
you got the Asian person to give the seal of
Yes.
approval.
Good to
But-
know.
Okay.
But they do have one complaint about a liberty they're taking with one of the dishes.
Oh my gosh, is this the nacho cheese or what? No, it's the Cheeto one.
Flaming cheese.
Flaming hot Cheeto
something.
dumpling dish of
Steph's
some
like, no,
sort
you've gone
that
too
I'm,
far.
Wow.
The food is
I'm-
good, but you've gone too far.
I'm equally intrigued and terrified.
I know, right?
I feel like that's just right on brand. I know you're speaking for all of Asia, Steph. And so
Yes,
very
I've been,
confidently.
I've been elected.
Yeah. And, just creative people.
The Dorito wontons were okay though.
What? Is that a real thing? Is that really a thing?
It is if you dream it.
Somehow I feel more okay with that. I don't know. That's weird. I don't know how to justify that.
Speaking of flaming, Jim, you were back in the desert.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was.
Where'd
Yeah.
you go? I was in New York and I called you and you're like, look, I'm in the desert.
I know. We tend to kind of do that stuff. We call each other from odd places.
Yeah, you sent me a picture of you and Josh, and then I said, I see your desert, and I raise you a Clooney.
You did. So, yeah, you had called me to pick up some packages off your front porch. And I'm like, I'm in the desert. So, there's a picture of me and Josh in the high desert with the Sierras behind us on the 395 corridor. And then you did raise me with a George Clooney
I pictured me with George Clooney.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, you almost win.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So tell us about your trip. You went to a new place you haven't been.
Yeah, a new place called Pine Nut Mountains, which is just east of Carson City in Minden, Nevada. So just over the Sierras from us, not too far away, about 5 hours. And the genesis for going was we're doing a trip in May. Everyone's invited, obviously. And it was up between Moon Rocks, Nevada, dirt bike trip camping, Moon Rocks, Nevada. And then Josh threw out this Pine Nut Mountain place. And I'm like, sure. I'm always like, new is always exciting to me. And so let's check it out. So I happened to end up with a free week this last week for whatever reason. And I'm like, cool, well, let's go recon it, because like a trail, you never know if it's a loop until it's a loop. You really don't know what's out there until you actually get out there. As much as you can look at it on Google Maps and Earth, once you're there, it's always looks so different. So I'm like, cool, let's recon it. Sounds good. Josh was down. He kind of was like, let's do it. So he was motivating also. And we met up out there on, I guess it was Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday. And it was really cool. So this area outside of Carson City, it's high desert, about 4,000 or 5,000 feet is where we camped. It's rolling sand with juniper trees that are about 15 feet wide and sparse, which are kind of nice. Oh. It's BLM land, but they do ask you to stay on the trails, which isn't a problem because this is, again, a huge BLM area with mountains, Pine Nut Mountains, but it's just crisscrossed by trails.
And it's a whole mountain range, right?
It's a range.
Yeah.
It's, again, once you get out of California, it just becomes giant. So, yeah, you could go, I don't even know how many hundreds of miles you could end up going to the east and who knows where you are. So it's vast. But in this area we were at, it was on Gaia, crisscrossed by trails everywhere. So Josh had downloaded some tracks from a dude on YouTube who does it's called, Pine Nut something or like Pine Nut Shot or something like that.
Oh, these were the YouTube videos.
YouTube videos,
showing up in my text message feed.
Yes. So the YouTube videos are there. It's Pine Nut something. It's a clever name. And Josh emailed the dude or connected with him. He's like, hey, could I get some tracks? And the guy stoked him out. So he sent Josh the tracks of his writing out there. And he said, have fun. Don't kill yourself. We're like, okay, a little foreboding, but hopefully not foreshadowing. And so we showed up. It was funny. I was telling this story earlier. It's not often you greet your camping partner with a flashlight and a handgun. So quick story. I'm waiting for Josh to roll into our campsite. So this is down a dirt, BLM road and then off of there. And he had a pin to where I was at and it was dusk. And I
You might have had a pin, but it is hard to find exactly where you're going sometimes. You're out on these numbered roads.
Especially when the sun goes down. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I wanted to be able to meet him because it was just at dusk. And as I'm kind of getting ready to go meet him, and I was out a little earlier and tossed a chem light out there. So I'm like, all right, if nothing else, there's that. And then I hear some dogs barking. Didn't think much of it. Then a little bit closer, dogs. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's no house within miles of here. And I look off and I see these big kind of white, those ranch dogs kind of booking across real fast.
Oh.
About
like wolf size?
Yeah, those big ass white dogs, right? And another kind of
Pyrenees or something like that.
Yeah. And then like a lab or something like, I don't like sure, it was about 100 yards away, but they were hauling ass on maybe chasing rabbits. But it sounded like about 7 dogs because you heard a bunch of dogs barking, then run back the other way. Then they start getting closer. Then I'm like, is that a pack of feral dogs? And I'm out here by myself.
Oh, God.
I know, right? And I was like, all of a sudden I was a little concerned. And then they started getting a little closer. And so I got the flashlight on because it's like dusk.
What are they barking at out?
I think they're chasing, my guess is either rabbits or some other, because there's a lot of life out there. It looks not like it, but there's all sorts of little critters. So it looked like they were chasing down something like when you hear coyotes chase down something, it seemed like they were doing that. But they kept getting closer. And I'm like, starting to freak out a little bit. But I know Josh is about to show up. So at one point I was moving this dish, like a little pot, and made a little noise. And one dog from about 75 yards away just stopped and looked at me. And I'm like, all right, fuck this. So went in the truck, pulled out a pistol and a flashlight. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to go find Josh. But there I am walking up the road because you could still see them for a little bit with their little eyes glowing at you when you look, but they were still running around.
So they were very aware you were there.
Yeah, but they weren't like stalking me, right. I don't think, but they were there. And I'm like, anyway, you're out there by yourself. So there I am.
What is it with you and animal encounters?
I don't know. You get out there and you encounter them. I think that's the thing. And Nevada's a weird ass place, man. So there I am.
There
Josh
are
comes up
animals
the
out there.
road. I'm standing in the middle of this dirt road with a handgun and a flashlight. I'm like, welcome to Nevada, man.
I think that was one of the weird things, or one of the really cool things, though, about just spending a bunch of time outdoors, is you have all these kind of like animal wildlife encounters.
You do and you don't. That's it's an interesting thing you say, because a lot of times you do. So we were looking for pronghorn. There's herd of wild mustangs out there, right? And we've seen this stuff before. And this time we didn't see anything except for like I'm not even sure, like a couple of birds and a couple of rabbits. So it's funny how hit or miss seeing wildlife can be.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you do this stuff, yeah, you have days where you don't see stuff, but then you have days where you're blown away with the wildlife that you see out there. So anyway, it was cool. Pine Nut Mountain. So the riding was a real nice mix of a lot of flowy 2-track, like Jeep trails, single track, sandy, a lot of rocks, sand and rocks. But then there were parts that were just kind of this compacted sandy silt that were just lovely. A lot of hill climb opportunities. I'm getting a little bit better, more confident going downhill, which is nice.
Sounds like maybe a little like Carrizo, maybe? No?
It's unique. I mean,
Okay.
the only other place I've seen like this is outside of Jawbone Canyon, when you get up around 5,000 or 6,000 feet, maybe right? Okay, it's like this kind of sandy juniper forest.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
there's
like-
not much else there.
Like up real high up as you're getting like further towards Lake Isabella.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. And it is beautiful. I mean, these juniper trees, you can smell them, especially because you're kind of hitting them and they get in the moat or whatever. But it was just super fun and flowy and challenging enough. You know, this kind of funky downhill where it bottoms out steep at the bottom, and then there's a tree, so you kind of got to get over to the side and get back on it. So it probably for you, Scottie, it wouldn't be terribly challenging, and it wasn't for Josh.
It sounds like a heck of a lot of fun.
But for me, it was like a nice challenge, and it was super fun. So, so we did like probably, I don't know, maybe 80 miles total over a couple of days, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was a lot of second gear.
A lot of your
That's a lot
exploring.
of trail to cover.
Grunty.
Especially that really like fun sort of awkward stuff where you're like tossing your bike and your body around trying to get past a tree
So
or
there
over
was-
a rock or something.
There was that stuff, the real slow but flowy, sandy slalom around the trees. Like you're around a tree really hard, like through a berm, and then back to the right around a tree and a berm, and then to the left around a tree and a berm. You can see videos of it. So the Pine Nut Mountain thing. So, but what was interesting is we're hanging out at our campsite and we're like, kind of out there. And then this dude comes trucking by hiking. And he looked like, Jesse Ventura, the old wrestler.
Yeah.
Like Jesse Ventura in his prime at about 50 years old. He was like 6'3", had to be like 230, just jacked. But he was probably like, 50 or 65, 55.
Was it George Washington Hayduke?
Who's that?
Oh,
Is that a punk rock guy?
Monkey Wrench
Yeah.
Gang.
Oh, okay. There you
Hey,
go.
Duke lives.
Oh, okay. Could have been. If he had an AR-15, yes.
I'm looking at Neil because he just keeps surprising me. Wait, you're a stoner
There's-
punk rocker? What's going on?
There are lots of things in my noodle.
Revolutionary.
There's a lot of stuff happening now.
He's got rabbit ears on his head. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about.
So yeah, just the terrain.
Yeah,
the
exploring
rocks,
around. So
everything,
great
exploring.
writing and a couple of interesting little things. So Josh, I love when people do this, map out old mine sites.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, right. It's always a fun destination as a mine. So we went to these things that were tailings, and I had asked him, like, Josh, what's tailing? And he told me it's where all the shit that they dig up, like piles of rocks.
The diggins.
Yeah, so we started like just checking those out, which was fun. But what we realized is we come up to this one big pile of pilings, and there was a brand new machine, like a rock processing machine, about the size of say roughly a Bobcat steer loader, right? A little more rectangular. And so what people are doing now, I guess the technology's there, and there's still enough metal in that tailing that people are mining the
Processing
tailings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
reprocessing this stuff is apparently a thing. Yeah.
So we saw people with like literal modern day claims out there mining this shit. You're like, cool. Well, let's not hang around here because you feel like you're rolled up on an illegal weed grow.
Yeah.
You're like, this is cool. Let's
have
go
enough
now.
experience with
Not much
that.
difference between the two. No.
Right.
I've been chased out of creeks in the past.
really?
Dirt bike riding in the hills, and someone's like, "Hey, this is a claim."
In the Sierras.
I don't know. It's public land. Like, how do you have a mineral claim here? But you don't stay and argue with, what's the old saying? The only place you run into a hillbilly is on their property. So just get.
Yeah. Right. Not looking for a problem, right?
Go on, get.
Yeah.
I've ran into a couple of those people reprocessing stuff up in the Sierras and on the Sierra Buttes area.
Yeah, in Nevada County, they do a lot of that.
Exactly, yeah, like around the
Yellow
Doghoff diggings zone. But I just stopped and asked them because I think it's kind of fascinating.
It is, yeah.
And they were all really kind. They were like, yeah, this is really cool. And we're getting this stuff out. And this area was originally not mined for this particular mineral or metal. And now we're looking at it in a different way. It was really cool.
Well, this same area we were riding, we ran across a piece of wire strung between two trees. It took my friend off his bike. So once we started running into people out there, we said, well, we're going to pick a new location.
That sounds like Mendocino County in the 80s.
Is it?
Yeah.
Just remember, Jim, the hills have eyes.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, so we got this Jesse Ventura dude trucking out of the middle of nowhere with his walking sticks. And we're like, hey, dude, what's up? Because you always say hi to people out there, unless they look like tweakers. And you're like, hey, man. He's like, hey, how's it going? So we start chatting, and he's asking what we're doing and all this kind of stuff, and told him where we've been riding. And he goes, well, have you been back? Sunrise Pass Road is kind of the main road that goes through there. It's, rock and whatever. And it goes way, way back into other stuff. And we'd only, Josh and I had only been maybe 15 miles, back that way. And we were getting ready to leave at this point. And we're like, no, we never really got through there. He goes, oh my God, you're kidding. He goes, that's where the beauty really begins. And we're like, no, you're kidding. So it was kind of like your story last week about the Jeep. Mm-hmm. And you had so much fun. And then you realized you were just at the entrance
in the approach parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, because he said there's a canyon back there. And again, he's like, bring a gun. So if there's anything about Nevada, apparently you're supposed to have a gun with you all the times, just because of like wackadoos out there. And then we started talking about 40-acre ranches, which gave you access to water and all. So
do you ever consider other people think you're the wackadoo?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
all the time.
Definitely one of the people. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we talked about snakes and some other things. But yeah, it's always interesting who you encounter.
Coyotes.
And you'll appreciate this. We did have lunch at an airport.
Oh,
so
that's a thing.
After riding through
We've been to many airports.
After just riding through these, beautiful whatever Nevada. Ended up to Minden Tahoe Airport at the Tail Dragger Cafe.
Oh,
it was lovely. So
I highly recommend find your local small airports. Many of them have cool restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's the endpoint of $100 hamburger.
Yes,
you can famously get in your private plane, you fly into the airport, and you have a hamburger.
It was cool. It was an active airport. Yeah, maybe because it was close to Reno and all that. But there were a lot of glider activity. We saw a self-propelled glider. I'd never seen one of those. It's a glider with a tiny little motor right above it.
That sounds
picturing like
I know, right?
pedals or something.
Well, it's enough to get you up there, I guess. Then you cut the motor and it's a glider, kind of a thing.
Oh,
all right, sure.
But an active airport, it was a lot of fun.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's always fun to check out those sort of like other kinds of machines.
It is, and people are into that down there. Like I've mentioned before, if you go to Mojave, the town where that airplane graveyard is, that's where the Voyager Cafe is at the airport there, which is also a spaceport. Believe it or not, they have a test pilot training school out of that place, and they have Nepalese and eggs for breakfast. So I don't know how you beat
win.
It's pretty solid, yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, but it was cool, the whole pine nut thing. So yeah, nice. I'm down to go back and check it out.
When are we going back?
I don't know. Well, we're going to another trip in May. Oh, so the point of this trip was to recon it to see, because we're doing another trip in May, and to see if this would be cool, because some of the people we travel with have trailers and stuff. Mm-hmm. And from what we saw, Pine Nut does not set up for that. You got to look for some camping spots. There's not many at all, at least where we were at, which was interesting. So I think we're in May, like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, something like that. We're going to go to Moon Rocks is where we're going to end up going.
Oh, we're not going to Pine Nut anymore.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the type of riding and the accessibility to camping and stuff like that, it just, I don't know, Moon Rocks is better, I think. Right. So I think that's what we'll do. Yeah.
Well, you had that adventure, and Hector, you had a bit of an adventure today. You got to come to the garage and hang out.
Yeah, first time at the garage. Never been here before. Just took an Easter ride. I went up to Point Reyes Station. Surprisingly enough, all this time together, I bumped into a guy in front of a bakery who has a KTM 790. We started talking KTM stuff. We started talking all kinds of things. And he's telling me about these the BDR in Idaho, and it goes through, I can't remember what the name of the place was, but he goes, oh, yeah, I crashed a plane there last year.
What?
Just randomly.
I have so many questions already. I'm going to start with Point Reyes isn't very close to here.
It's not very close to here. It's not very close to my home either.
Okay.
It's just a few hours away. Just out for a ride.
Okay.
I made it south down the coast to Pacifica, and I told Scottie, I was thinking, well, shoot, I should see where the garage is. I didn't think anybody would even be here, but here I am.
Every Sunday.
Yeah. That's what I hear.
Every Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, but you got to kind of see what it's like. It was just a bunch of people like hanging out. Some people worked on bikes, getting some help.
And we put Hector directly to work.
Yes, I found my people. I found a purpose. I am always better with a project in my hand. I'm way more comfortable that way. So this has been great. You guys have been so welcoming.
We had whenever somebody shows up with a tire change, I'm like, oh. But
I saw the Rabaconda.
But the Rabaconda came out. The Rabaconda worked. What'd you think of the Rabaconda?
I love it. And since I already bought one and I haven't had the guts to use it yet, this was a great way to try it on someone else's tire.
Playing with somebody else's Rabaconda on somebody else's motorcycle.
Perfect. Well played.
The best part is at any point I could have just dropped it all and went like, well, fuck it. I'm out of here.
I'm gonna go get some dim sum.
Yeah.
Well, I commented, and changing tires is not an easy thing, but I'm guilty as charged on this, right? But we were at the AIM Expo, and they had the Rabaconda booth, and there was a woman literally changing tires for like 3 days straight and made it look effortless. And I'm like, if I had a brain in my head, I would hang out with her for an hour and change like 5 tires.
That tire had been on that machine 11,000 times.
Yeah, that particular tire had seen some action.
The point being, it's the muscle memory, like the practice of doing it a bunch. Because I saw y'all struggling. At one point, I thought that he was going to jump on the arm, that lever. I'm just saying, but it worked.
I don't know if it was that hard, but there was moments. Yeah. There was moments of frustration, but like Jeremy said, he didn't hear any naughty words from our corner, so it was fine.
And I think most of it was the fault of the spray bottle.
Yes.
No, at the show they made it look so easy, but when someone comes in with these tires, and Jim, I've never been lucky with any of my tires.
No, well, it's hard.
But I've helped other people do theirs.
Yeah.
And I realized I abandoned halfway through. So,
Scottie and I did one of your tires.
We did?
Yeah. One of the hide nows that went on.
I've
those are
never
stiff too, huh?
Yeah, that was a tough one.
But I did fix the KTM today. My 690 was overheating, and it was a $10 little sensor switch.
So you just replace the sensor and
it works. Ba-bang, the fan comes on.
Did you just go for it? Be like, I'm just going to change this and see if it fixes it?
Yeah, well, I first confirmed that the fan, when I hooked it up to a battery, worked, and I checked the fuses, and kind of that was the next thing in that loop to turn the fan on.
You gotta love a fix. It's only $10, but like
on
60
KTM?
or 70 hours to diagnose.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
And the part was dirt cheap. I had this similar experience with my brother-in-law fixing his Vulcan, and the only sensor switch that you could get to work right was the OEM one. It was $160.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Well, you got to
Kawasaki of all things.
Hector, you got to experience like the hanging out in the garage and the conversations that happened there, which is how the whole podcast started, us sitting around having these conversations and talking about all sorts of stuff. And we're like, how do we bottle that? Because we're so curious and like to compare different things and talk about new writers and writing experiences and really get into the mind of a motorcyclist, because that's what we all are.
Because it's a screwy place.
It is, but that thing that we all have in common, even though on paper, many of us, you wouldn't put in a room together, but that motorcycle mind is what binds us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a guest joining us tonight who can tell us even more about our minds and motorcycles. He's what you would call a professional at this, or somebody who knows a lot more than me. Joining us tonight, and let's see if I get this name right, Mark Changizi.
That's right.
Hey-oo!
Hi, Mark.
Hey.
And
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark, welcome.
According to
glad to
your
be here.
Wikipedia page, you're a theoretical cognitive scientist. Okay.
Yes, or something like that. Yeah, that's right. Undergrad was math, physics. PhD was math, but I became kind of a cognitive scientist, neuroscientist, sort of an evolutionary biologist of sorts. So I have 6 other books before this one. They're all on sort of how we came to be designed the way that we are, why we see illusions. I've got a TED talk on why we see illusions. It's actually to see the next moment to correct for your neural delays. Why we see in color, your color vision that we primates have that your dog doesn't have, is to see emotions under your skin by seeing the way the blood changes. how we came to have music. And a lot of my books are sort of fun stuff about how we evolved to be the way we are, or how culture evolved. They're kind of serious questions that scientists asked. And the seventh book is a little bit unusual because it's about just the experience, the science behind what it is to ride and why a motorcycle, the experience is fundamentally unlike just driving a car or other kinds of experiences that people have. It really is unique. And what I've tried to do is distill some of the ways that make the motorcycle ride so fundamentally different than other experiences that you can have in life.
Well, you're going to have your hands full tonight.
So basically, if you boil down what is a theoretical cognitive scientist, it's somebody who overthinks everything.
That's right.
Right?
But not so much that I don't ride. The average person overthinks. They go, well, I couldn't ride a motorcycle because, and then they come up with all of these arguments for why it's too unsafe, and my mom's not going to like it, or my wife's not gonna, you know what I mean? So hopefully I'm more down to earth than your typical nerdy scientist.
So, Mark, what do you ride?
I ride it's a Yamaha Bolt 950cc 2019.
Right. And
very cool.
Here's the thing that I find interesting about Mark. Mark is a smart guy who knows a lot about a lot. But as a rider, you're new to riding. In fact, I believe that Bolt is your first bike.
Yeah, that's my first bike. I'm 56 next week. I started riding at about 50, 51 maybe.
Yeah.
So it is a later thing in life, which I think may help because I've done all these 30 years of research as a cognitive scientist trying to unpack, why we think and see and feel and as we do, and how cultures evolve to fit us, all these sorts of stuff. And then when I started to ride, I could experience it for the first time. If I had been one of these kids that was dirt biking, at 12, it might be so close to it would be like walking potentially. And I might not be able to ever unpack it. It would just be so part of it, so ingrained in me. So I think that would help that I was a new rider.
Yeah, it's true. I always describe when people say, when did you start riding? I say, I was born this way.
Yeah. Mark, coming to this as an adult, there's a lot going on when we ride a motorcycle, right? We got both hands doing things. Both of our feet are responsible for different things. And we're also just kind of enjoying it. What was that? Because that's a lot to learn for anybody. But thinking of it from your perspective is like, we got these giant mammals trying to figure this thing out and run with this machine.
Well, I think also as somebody
means.
who's very accomplished and knowledgeable about many things, to then be taking a MSF class and be basically going back to kindergarten. How was that whole experience for you?
Oh, it was kind of awful because I mean, you're in the hot sun in August and then of course they make you wear all of the gear completely head to toe, and you don't get the benefits of moving quickly to enjoy the breeze. So it's a really uncomfortable experience, and it's not fun yet. And they spend disproportionate times during these training courses with going really slowly and turning 90 degrees, which
turn your head.
But when you go slow, you can put your feet down. This is not, now I don't have to. We get good at it pretty quick, but it's not really a key issue, but it's sort of 90% of what's hard during those first courses.
Yeah. And you feel dumb sometimes. You're really trying. I'll be honest. I've been riding 40-something years, and I just recently had to take the beginning class because I've never taken a class, and I'm getting certified to be an instructor. Yeah. And I was struggling to unlearn all the things I've learned and break it down into those steps. So yeah, that was difficult for me too.
And on the other end of the spectrum, I can relate to Mark because in May, it'll be my 10th year since I got my MFS license, right? So I've only been riding for 10 years as well. Anyway, more to talk about there, but yeah, it's interesting coming to riding later in life.
Right. So Mark, your latest book is called The Motorcycle Mind. So for you, this must have been a whole journey. And the introduction, there it is, The Motorcycle Mind. A whole journey
there's
for you.
Your bike too. Put his bike on the cover.
Yeah, into this world that we're all familiar with, and to have this kind of awakening. What was going on in your head through all of this?
Well, it was actually just last year around April that I started writing down just bullet points about sort of key surprising things about the experience of a motorcycle and how I came to think about it, given my background as a researcher in this sort of field. And And just in about 12 minutes, I had written down sort of 25 different key ideas, each of which could have been a section or a chapter, of varying kind of generality. And I was like, oh my God, I think I've suddenly already got a book that I'd be excited to write. And so probably 4 months later, I had written the book. And of course, it looks very different than those 25 bullets or whatever. But I still had, up as a tweet. And it just flowed out because after 30 years of really thinking about understanding the connection between technology that's been designed for us or how we've been designed to have technology as part of our instincts, I was just primed to really unpack the experiences and the design of you and the machine together in a different kind of way than the average person would, because that's my bread and butter, how to think about those kinds of design situations.
Yeah, and I found an interesting comparison that you made to Thor's hammer. Can you share that? That's an interesting perspective on it.
Yeah, I mean, I start the book with, I think that's the very first paragraph or section of the book. Thor's hammer, the fun of Thor's hammer is that only Thor can lift it. And it's not so much that he's strong. As you learn more about Thor, it turns out that he is worthy of it. And so he's lived his life such that he's worthy to lift it. Rather than it be, he is, of course, a strong guy, so you might imagine, but other strong guys and gals can't lift it. And it's, the motorcycle kind of has that feeling to it. People walk by Thor's hammer and they really like to lift it. It's super cool because it gives you all this extra strength. It allows you to fly. And there's a whole bunch of other powers that Thor's hammer apparently has. If you watched it, could sit through all these movies. And a motorcycle is just like that your whole life, except for those of you who've always been, on a motorcycle. If you haven't, whenever you pass a motorcycle or a motorcycle passed you, it exuded power and coolness and strength and capability that you just wanted to have, you would love to have. But unlike some things, like maybe a gun exudes certain kinds of power, but you can just pick it up and squeeze the trigger. There's nothing, you don't have to be, you don't have to earn it or, have a certain level of capability. But when you looked at a motorcycle, you thought to yourself, no, I'm not worthy to get on that. If you had any humility at all, you wouldn't jump on. You're going to kill yourself really or hurt somebody really bad. You might jump on a motor scooter. You can still get hurt on a motor scooter if you know what you're doing. But roughly speaking, you can jump on and you'll be fine. And most people, though, when they look at a motorcycle, they have an intrinsic respect for their inability and unworthiness for getting on it. And they know that they need to practice for a long period of time. They need to go to take a course. And with that power and capability comes the powers of flight, and the powers of transformation. And they don't understand what that transformation is, but they know that something deep and different seems to happen to the riders, and they would love to have that. So there's all these deep similarities between the mythology of Thor's hammer and a motorcycle.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. He said flight. I thought about flying through the air when you high side, kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's a different sort of thing.
That is cool.
Actually, what that made me think of was what I've often described riding as. It's the closest thing to flying without leaving the ground.
That's exactly right. In fact, those that get into actually flying, there could be nothing more boring. All that they do is there's two ways in that it's boring. One, you're spending all of your days reading these books and about where you can fly and where you can't fly and all these red tape rules. They have to be, it's just a different kind of person. There's nothing fun about it. And two, the fun about flying is when you're watching the movies and they're showing the jets that are going through the canyons and they're getting all this optic flow, which you as a pilot will never, ever, ever be able to get anything like that, right? But on a motorcycle, one, you're getting exactly those optic flows, and you can choose to, lane split or go through these different, these. I call it when in the Death Star when Luke dives into the Death Star, and suddenly he's going slower than he was out in space. Surely he has to go slower. He must be, but it's so much more fun. The fun of these is because you're getting all of these dangerous high optic flow, high cues for speed. And in chapter 2 of the book, I cover the many different kinds of cues to speed and how these things contribute to this sort of this feeling that you get in a motorcycle by passing things quickly and dangerously. Right? But the other part of the feeling of flight that comes from a motorcycle that doesn't come from a plane, because in a plane you get effectively no optic flow almost all of the time, no optic flow. On a motorcycle, in addition to that, you become weightless. So those, if you've seen a motorcycle and you don't ride, you realize they're heavy as fuck, right? They're super freaking heavy. And, but as soon as you get up past 15, 20 miles per hour, some vague threshold, it becomes weightless. And so the slightest touch, and people don't understand counter steering if you don't actually ride, but you actually push the wrong way and turn the steering wheel to the left to go right. You just put pressure on it, like you're putting pressure on the side of the neck of a horse, and the horse then knows that you want to go right. You just put pressure there, the slightest pressure, and this heavy 600-pound bike just leans like it's nothing. An old grandma, grandpa can just be, no matter how weak they are, they can make the 600-pound thing bend to their whim.
Yeah.
And this is the sense in which it's like a plane in flight. You just turn the ailerons or whatever the word is for that, right? And then suddenly the whole thing just leans, and it doesn't hit the ground even though it's leaning, right? It's just flying there. It's the closest thing to flying, and it's just, there's nothing like it, including flying.
Yeah, I can talk about my first experience riding on the freeway just after I got my motorcycle license when I was about 21. And I'd been riding on the streets and had been riding dirt bikes since I was about 11 years old. So I'm one of those kids. But I'd never ridden at speed, at freeway speed on a motorcycle. And I remember the first time doing it and just watching the road just rushing away from me underneath. And that was just such a strange experience that I think about 20 minutes, I didn't feel that anymore. But just the first encounter with that was like, whoa, okay. I felt excited and also very vulnerable at the same time.
I still feel pretty vulnerable.
I got that same feeling when we drove our 64 Corvair convertible that had the floors rusted out. And you saw the floor, the ground moving underneath.
Fred Flintstone in it.
Yeah, same feeling.
Well, Mark, I like to do a thing with our guests called unsolicited advice.
I knew this is where you were going. Okay.
And I have a suggestion for your next book. Yeah, you guys don't know where
is
this is going.
Cover art?
Well, here's what I think. I was reading, some of the sections from your book, and I think, anyone can read it, but it was also kind of, I think, designed to explain to non-riders why we ride. It's a big mystery to a lot of people. Why are you riding that death trap, right? But for motorcyclists, most of us are like, why are you riding a scooter? So I think because we have our scooterists here, your next book should be The Scooter Mind. If you can please get down into
that could be multi-volumes. That could be like a 3-volume set.
Everybody.
And then there's mountain bikes. Boy, those things are dangerous.
Yeah, fuck mountain bikes. Oh, no.
I know.
Actually, I had a bicycle adjacent question. I've come to understand that moving through the world, having this, what you called optical flow at a walking pace or even a running pace, okay, we get it, right? Even
at a walking meditation pace.
Yeah, walking meditation, sure. Even on a bicycle, you're moving at a relatively achievable thing, something that we could do even with just our feet, for the most part. But motorcycles let us go so much faster than anything I think we were designed to do.
How did you know there's a whole chapter of his book about this?
I didn't. I was going to ask him about it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
I've heard stories of people saying, like, after a really fast race or a long time going very, very fast, that our perception of speed can change. And it feels like,
time travel?
Yeah, at some slow speed, like 40, you could just stand up and walk away.
Okay.
I was curious if there's anything real to that or if it's just anecdotal kookiness.
Well, yeah, sure. So there's a couple things to say about that. One is that even when we're walking or running, we can have speed just like on a motorcycle in the following sense. If you're the kind of person that, let's say, jogs in the forest, it's a really cluttered forest, then you'll get so much optic flow as you're going by, and it's so close to your eyes, you'll be getting all of this high angular velocity optic flow that your brain will have become accustomed to dealing with and processing and correcting for the neural delays of these, so that in the beginning it might be that you're all out of wonky, but after a while you're able to correct for those neural delays and deal with these high angular velocity things. And that would be equivalent to being, let's say, on a motorcycle with near cars that you're lane splitting through. Whereas somebody in the real world who is always out walking on sidewalks with with nothing nearby, that's going to be equivalent to going fast on a motorcycle, but just in the middle of an empty highway where there's not much optic flow other than below your feet. And let's suppose it's super smooth below your feet and there's not much optic flow to perceive even there. So it's not so much about speed that you're trying to adapt to or habituate to. It's about the extent that you're having optic flow cues or other kinds of cues that inform you of that speed that you calibrate to. So often, when I first rode a motorcycle, I remember my wife was following me home and I was avoiding the highways because I was too afraid to go on the highways. And I was stuck at like 25 miles per hour. I should have been going 40 or 45 if I was in a car. And she's back there flashing her lights and honking. But from my point of view, I was already getting optic flow like I would get in my car even on a highway, 70 mile per hour level optic flow, just on these sort of 40 mile per hour roads. But the optic flow, which I had calibrated to, says that's already 60 or 70, slow down. So my brain just wouldn't let me go beyond 25 because the optic flow already was calibrated to say that was 70. So it took a few days before I recalibrated to what it's like to have that level of optic flow in all of these new places because my car doesn't have holes in the floor like yours, right? So once you calibrate, then I was able to then correct for the neural delays and deal with optic flow that's that quickly and sort of habituate to what speed I need to be. Because what speed I'm at, we calculate not by virtue of measuring how long it takes to go some certain number of meters. It's by calibrating the quickness of the optic flow going by us and knowing that means some particular number after a while.
Yeah. In your case, how long do you figure that process took you to get accustomed to that optic flow rate?
Obviously it's gradual, but certainly by even the next day, I was probably 50% better, but it might have been months before me to get to be 90% of what I am. And then it might have still taken 2 or 3 years to get from 90 to 100. It took a long time. And of course, some of that growth was just motor, my motor capabilities were growing at the same time as my perceptual capabilities. So it's a little hard to tell, but there's some initial quick improvement and then a long, slow improvements that also were key to make me a safe driver. Today, driving, lane splitting through Miami, like I've been for the last 3 years, totally different than up in Ohio.
So since it's question time, Mark, I got a question. So I love this term optic flow, right? Because you can picture it no matter where you're at. And we were just riding dirt bikes out in the desert in Nevada this last weekend. And I want to replace the word optic flow with kind of like fear flow. So bear with me for a second, right? On my street bike, I got a Suzuki Gixxer. I commute to work. I go over a mountain highway and I love it. I almost never get scared on my street bike. Maybe I get a little adrenaline dump, but I never get scared. On my dirt bike, I get scared, right? So you and I are a similar age. We've been riding for a similar time, right? I've been riding for 10 years. But I love dirt biking. But my biggest problem is between my ears, right? That's the biggest thing. I've got a solid dirt bike. I feel like I've got halfway decent skills. But when I see things that are intimidating, like a loose hill climb or a loose downhill, good forbid a cow, my gosh, or a porcupine at night. But back to it's kind of I like your calibration question. I hope this makes sense. But when you calibrated yourself, to not going 25 miles an hour anymore, to be able to go fast on a bike and feel good about it. Can you relate that to being scared? Like at our age, like how can I overcome these fears I have? Right. Because I want to keep doing this for a while and I want to keep pushing myself. So how do you push yourself in a way because I know our chemistry is like, don't do that, dude. You're going to break yourself. You're old. Right. But yet we don't want to admit that. So I don't know. Can you shed some light on that?
Well, obviously you habituate to that as well. In the beginning, I remember when, the first few months on the highway, I was scared of things that it blows my mind that I was scared looking back, but it reminds me that my motor capabilities and my ability just to move the bike and just control it were really poor, even though at the time I thought I was halfway decent. And so my fear level has obviously dropped. And I presume your fear level has dropped over time, even on your dirt bike. And of course, a certain level of fear, you want to keep it because no matter, I'm a very fit 56-year-old, but none of that really matters. If we get into an accident, it's going to mean shit. We're going to really get hurt pretty dang bad. So I don't want to, let the fact that I'm in shape delude me into thinking, or to delude me into not being fearful, and part of the fun is the fear, right? We don't want to get rid of the fear. If we could get rid of all of the fears and all of the actual dangers, so that it was the same level of danger as a drone pilot flying, his or her drone hundreds of thousands of miles away. I'm not sure it would be fun anymore. You could argue it has all, imagine it's the perfect, simulator where it's literally just activating all parts of your body and the wind, like everything is exactly what it's like, except that you wouldn't get hurt.
Yeah, well, I think
no
all of
consequence.
us, all of us in this room have know where the edge is, like living on the edge, because all of us have gone over the edge, so we kind of know. I mean, we know where it is, but dude, it can hurt when you go over the edge.
I watched your daughter go over the edge in Hollister Hills for real.
Yeah, she's still doing it,
but she bounced, so it's okay.
Would you expect from that optic flow perspective, right? We're talking about, it feels so different being in a car. It feels so different being on like a super naked or something like that. Would you expect that same sort of difference, maybe to a lesser degree, between like a gold wing and
we love
something,
gold wings.
And
Don't be hating on the gold
I'm not hating on gold wings, but it is a very different experience to sit on something that's
fully
really big,
paired,
fully fared.
It's like driving an Acura.
As floorboards and all that kind of thing.
Stereo
different
controllers.
from like a chopper. Would you expect
Yeah,
something
you're
like
certainly
that?
going to be blocking a lot of your lower visual field. And this even came up with face masks during COVID. A lot of people were falling. There was a lot of enhancement, there was a lot of new people falling down because most people don't recognize that you're seeing the optic flow approaching. In fact, you see your cheeks, which is why football players put black paint there to prevent the reflections from the sun off of their cheeks, which goes directly into their eyes. You see your cheeks, you see the ground directly below you, and that's crucial for your locomotive behavior to be the kind of acrobatic person that you are. And on a motorcycle, especially more of a naked bike, on the bike, you're seeing all of that stuff underneath. You're not consciously aware of it, but it's guiding your behavior and making you a great and athletic person. We're sort of on some of these massive, bikes like you're describing. I presume a lot of that's going to be blocked, and so the experience, might significantly change because of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense that they're a lot harder to ride.
Yeah. Well, and I do find it funny, a lot of the times you bring up the motor scooters, because we, Bagel and Steph here are very hardcore motor scooters who don't really fit that image. Bagel, I sent you a picture
Yes.
from his book. What did you think?
I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Can you describe the picture?
That's what I was kind of
the Miami habitat of scooters is not necessarily that of other cities. I'd say 80% of the scooters are delivering things from one place to another. And they're just on their phone, and their both feet are dragging the ground, and they're just looking at their phone.
I think
and
the
they
other
might or might not be holding the handlebars. They're they're very good. They never get in accidents.
Look for the
I think
flip
the other
flops.
20% might be DUIs.
Yeah. Yeah, I always look for, if they have flip flops, they don't count in my book. So, Mark, what else did you discover? Like this entering this world of motorcyclists, because not only do you have the individual experience that you're having of riding and that freedom and the flying, but have you also discovered the community that comes with it?
I have, and I have, and I haven't. I mean, I go to a coffee shop, which is called, Imperial Moto Cafe. So I've met some other riders there, and so I have another kava bars that I go where I have riders that we got to know each other there. As soon as you get to know that there's these riders, you have a lot more to talk about. So I have a disparate community of folks that don't necessarily know each other, that we're all friends because we ride. I haven't been one of these guys that joins like a group of 50 guys and we go down to Key West or that kind of thing every weekend. I haven't quite gotten to that world, but I do know lots of riders now, and I've been, and it's been great to be part of relating stories with all of these folks. Yeah.
And can you answer the question, why do we ride? This is something that a lot of people ask, but
The meaning of life.
I think now we can find out like the scientific explanation. Why do we ride, Mark?
The book is in some sense about that. So obviously it's not a single answer, I don't think. But if I had to put a single answer, it might be, you could say it has something to do with speed and the thrill and the thrill of near death and things like this. But I think that's not really it. I think one of the things that makes the rides really important and so close to us is the way that you transform from your body to an entire new creature that incorporates the bike. And you become one with the bike, or you and the bike become one animal in a way that you don't with the car. And it's both with the physicality about how you control the bike and the physics that happens and how it interacts. But also in the final chapter, I also talk about the emotional expressiveness through the bike. And this is true of any manual transmission, but no one has manual transmissions anymore. It's practically impossible to find. But for motorcycles, it's inherent effectively to being a motorcycle. And my previous book was on the origins of emotional expressions, answering Darwin's sort of question 250 years ago about why animals have emotional expressions. And so I have a grand unifying theory about why they work. They're effectively playing a poker game of life where you're pushing in reputation chips. And I understand the space of emotional expressions that we have and all animals have. And when you're on a bike, you become one creature. You become one quadruped, one four-legged animal like a wolf or a horse, where the front wheel is like the two front legs of a horse or a wolf, and the back wheel is basically like two back legs, which are acting like a wheel. But in addition to that, you have the emotionality, and you can express yourself through the bike, through the manual transmission, because you don't just have the ability to signal aggression with throttling up or backing down with sort of backing off and sort of letting the guy go ahead, but you can modulate you can be in low gear or high gear because you've got multiple gears. So you can choose to be, let's suppose suddenly there's a lot more traffic just comes on. So instead of this highway being sparse and I was in fifth gear and going at 65 miles per hour, suddenly the highway's dense, but they're all still moving at the same speed. I don't need to accelerate or decelerate, but I might lower my gear from fifth to fourth or even to third. And what that does, and I'm preaching to the choir here, but what that does is not only give me the ability to, with just my throttle, decelerate and accelerate much more quickly, have greater jerk. Jerk is the change in acceleration over time. So I have greater capabilities to change my acceleration quickly, but it also that I'm in an emotional state that's more equivalent to becoming serious. Suppose I'm at a bar and someone comes up and they start trash talking other people nearby, I might perk up. I haven't actually exuded any particular emotional expression. I haven't shown or evinced any behavior, but I'm more serious. I'm ready for offensive action if I have to be. Same thing happens when you choose to downshift but stay at the same speed. You have in some sense, your motorcycle and you have an emotion, but they haven't necessarily signaled anything yet.
So in terms of mathematics, is there a symbol for jerk?
Yeah, it's actually,
I feel like there's a formula in there somewhere.
It's the third derivative.
The third derivative.
Derivative of acceleration.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
By understanding these two dimensions, they not only map onto greater capabilities of what you need to do as a motorcyclist, but they also map onto sort of emotions that you and the bike have that allow you to have preparatory states that are appropriate for the situation that you're in. And those preparatory states, sometimes you're signaling to other people, namely other cars and other bikes and other people, what the state that you're in, so that they can hear that, oh, he's more serious. Suddenly his engine is revving. And so they back off, or they go, he's more serious, let's watch out. And so you can choose, of course, you can put the clutch in and you can choose to just signal without, in fact, having the underlying emotion, because now it's not engaged, but I can choose to just have emotional expressions without the underlying emotion. Which is something that we also
a rev bomb.
Right. So to be able to pull your emotional expressions and dissociate them, having a dissociation is also something that we could do. We can do that on a bike as well. So it turns out really your emotions and your emotional expressions are really pushed right through the bike itself and transformed into the expressions and the signals that are the language of the street. And this is what helps keep us alive, because we're able to be emotionally expressive in the language of the street to help signal all those around us to keep us safe. Right. And it's also why motorcyclists are so interesting when they go by. Everybody wants to look. It's not just because they're loud and they look cool. They're signaling the whole time. They're making all kinds of sounds. It's not just brown, brown, brown. No, but like lots of different things that they're doing, which are emotionally expressive about what they're trying to tell the other people around. And people get this in their bones, just like they get dogs wagging their tails and all these complex things in other species. We've become a different kind of species, but with the same mathematical space of emotional expressions. And that's why it's so interesting to watch motorcycles go by, whereas cars have not even just the one dimension, aggression, acceleration and deceleration. When you pull up on your accelerator, if it's an automatic, it basically just, it's not even connected. It's not like you get engine braking from that. That's the way that it works. So you only get really half of a single dimension, whereas we get a full 2 dimensions on a motorcycle, which is just what social animals need.
And if you're driving a Prius, you die a little bit inside.
I was thinking that too. Well, I find this very interesting because it is true. When you're first learning to ride, you're disassociated from the bike because you're like trying to multitask and figure out what each of your limbs are doing. But then there's a certain point where you just meld with it and you become one, right? And what I find is interesting, like once you've reached that, I go another step. And when I'm riding behind somebody, I like to ride closer than most people are comfortable because I find that once I'm within a certain range, I become tethered to them. I can hear their bike. I can see their motions. I know what they are doing sooner than if I'm riding another 20 feet back because I'm tuned into them. I see where they're looking. I see their body position. Again, I can hear the bike, like you're saying, if they're shifting or whatever, and I'm reacting faster with them.
Especially when we downshift on Highway 1, we're about to pass a whole bunch of cars. Yeah.
And so I always love that when you're riding, when I get tethered into somebody and just feel what they're doing at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. That's a fascinating point. And I haven't had the chance to ride with other riders for that many situations. But that's what emotional expressions are all about. They're about coordinating, negotiating, compromising, but coordinating behavior between complex social animals. And we're doing that even right now, right? I'm showing a certain amount of deference and I'm not being disdainful or contemptful to you guys, right? And you're doing, there's emotional expressions.
Thank you.
I'm not talking, right? I'm not talking in a flat Stephen Hawking robot voice the entire time, right? I'm loaded with emotional expressions, which is helping our dialogue have a kind of coordination so that we're not talking over each other the entire time. That's what it allows us to do. Right?
I was wondering, is there another dimension to it possibly because we also have like body movements? Like you can also see my body position when I'm on a motorcycle in a different way than you could if I were sitting in a car. Does that come into it at all?
Yeah, definitely. So, so the more obvious parts of a motorcycle compared to a car is that you can just see the person's bodily gestures. And they're not going to be the same gestures as they would be necessarily if I was standing up, although sometimes they do that too. They might do the same. But you can just tell other kinds of gestures that they're doing that are consistent with them still holding the bike, that you can tell from their bodily gestures that they're also visually showing you the emotion, not to mention the tilt of the bike might tell you, or the jerkiness of that. But the auditory part is also a crucial one as well.
I think Liza likes to go, her body position usually involves jazz hands. We see a lot of jazz hands when you're riding with Liza. But like on another note, just talking about like all the headiness of motorcycling, because so much of it's been, is my zip run done? You're pointing at me.
I'm pointing
the
at
camera.
The camera,
Okay. Is there any sort of a ritual you might do or a pre-flight routine, we'll call it, before you hop on the bike? Like when I go to work in the morning and I get on the bike, I have a little kind of ritual I go through to kind of get my mind right and things. I was just curious if you had a way that you prepared to road, like a way maybe get your mind right, or I don't know, something like that.
I don't think I purpose. Well, certainly it doesn't mean you're not suggesting that it even need to be purposeful. It could be that you later realize that turns out you're always doing that without per se meaning to. And I do have, certain things to do. I prepare the bike. I put my wallet in a certain place. I do a particular ritual, which is functional, but it sort of amounts to a pre-ride ritual that I kind of, I guess on thinking about it, I kind of enjoy that ritual as I carry it out. But I'm not sure I ever thought about it as a ritual until now.
Yeah.
Bagel?
So I wanted to come back to just a quick point about the group ride concept. You mentioned that's something that you haven't explored that much. I would love to hear your take on that. Maybe that could be a volume 2, because Liza, if you remember, there's been a whole bunch of controversy about group ride etiquette and what is the proper formation and way of doing things. So there's a whole world to be explored there. But the point I really wanted to get to is that for one of the other factors that for me is really central to my love of riding is the physical sensations of not just acceleration or deceleration, but but just the sensations of moving down the road, like when you come across little whoops in the road and you get that little light feeling in your stomach, like all of these, and when you're going through the twisties and you're leaning the bike this way and that way, and you're feeling the centrifugal forces as you're moving, it's like it's like a whole variety of sensations that you get while riding that you can't really get any other way.
I get it from a lobster roll. Just going to point that out. But yes, go ahead.
That sounds like
Especially
a
a hot
very
one.
exciting lobster roll. Wait, where do you find this lobster roll?
Steph's interested all of a sudden. I'm going to stunt that
I
lobster roll.
ride to eat.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I mean,
yeah, so I
one of
wanted to get your thought about the physical sensations, the physical side of riding.
I mean, there's something that non-riders don't understand is that if you were to want to get into an arcade game of a motorcycle, imagine you've got the kind where you're just sitting on the couch, and as you're playing, the bike is just stuck on the screen, 1980s style, and then the world because it's as if they just didn't know how to deal with the bike tilting, so they just had the screen going like this. And you go, that sucks. And I'd rather do the one where it's an actual tilting motorcycle that I get to sit on. This is the coolest thing ever, right?
I can't play those games because I get motion sickness.
That's my daughter's favorite game.
Yeah.
But when you're on the motorcycle that's so cool that mom wouldn't pay that $2 of quarters to let me play, when it tilts to the left, you're going to fall off to the left. You've got to hold on.
Right.
And that's not what it's like to ride a motorcycle.
No, you're not getting that inner ear stimulation.
Right. On a motorcycle, no matter how much
the ride itself,
as you lean, gravity to you is still down through your spine, through your seat, and through the tires. No matter how much you lean. In fact, it's like sitting on the couch still, not leaning at all, and the world is tilting for you. It's as if you're in a gravity bubble, always holding absolutely still, and the world is just tilting to your needs as you go by.
Yeah.
Well,
and so it's like the crappy video game, in fact. And so you're not getting all this. You're getting, in some sense, less stimuli than you would in a car, because in a car, when you go left, everybody's flying to the right. Doing all this kind of stuff.
Especially with Liza.
But you kind of are when you initiate a turn and you change your lean angle. You're feeling those changes.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's
third
going to be
derivative again.
Yeah, there's other derivatives that are going on. So there's second or third order, there's some other stuff going on, but it's much less sales. So for example, sometimes we got rid of our cars down here in Miami. So my wife is always on my back. And sometimes she's feeling drowsy or she's just like, she's out of it. But as long as she's still with it, not falling asleep, she's holding on. And no matter what I'm doing coming home, she's stable, right? Whereas if in a car, she would be banging into me, or I'd have to put the seatbelt really tight. So there's much lower levels of stimuli affecting you on a bike than people. I mean, certainly there's forward and back stimuli as you accelerate. You can accelerate a lot faster with greater jerk than you can in most cars. So there's definitely that. But on the left to right, it's amazingly quiet, so to speak, compared to that of a car. Well, I wanted to get back to there's something that you had mentioned. One of you mentioned earlier, becoming one with the bike. And if we're not careful, people who drive are going to say, well, yeah, when I first drive, it's like a bad video game. I don't know what I'm doing. But then eventually I get used to the controls and I feel one with it. Mm-hmm. But there's a sense in which you still aren't one with the car. So let me explain the differences. When you do things in the world, like if I turn on the faucet, I use my arm to turn the faucet, right? So I actually have to move something else, which means that the faucet isn't me because I had to move the faucet. As another example, if I was doing a lot of sit-ups or crunches yesterday, sometimes it hurts so much to lift up my leg that I won't lift up my leg. With my abs, I will just physically lift up my leg.
Liza gets that a lot.
Right? Because it hurts so much. That's in that sense, for that day, my leg is not part of me because I had to use my arms to move it. Mm-hmm. So in a car, in order to move the car to the right, I actually have to move a thing in the world with my arms. That means it's not part of me. If it's part of me, I just intuit, I just say move, and my arm just moves. I say leg, move, and it just moves. What I never do is take my arms and move some other part, not if it's part of me, unless I'm injured, for example. On a motorcycle, when you want to lean right, you don't turn left. You don't turn the steering wheel like you do in a car. You just put pressure. You just touch it. Just like your ab muscles will just put pressure on your thigh bone, on your femur, and pull it up, right? no behavioral external part of your body is touching anything to move it. No, internally, things just make things move. And that's the sense in which when you want to turn right, you just put pressure, but you don't actually move anything. You just put pressure and the whole thing just falls and you start turning. You put pressure in the way that your body puts pressure and pulls things, pulls muscles as if it's you. And this is one of maybe 5 or 6 senses in which the motorcycle is really you, and you become one with it in ways that cars and other kinds of experiences that you have, that it's not like those experiences at all.
It's like you become a transformer.
Yes.
It really is. It really is.
Meets the eye.
Yeah, it really is.
And well, it's almost like you don't even push on the bar. You just look. You just get to the point where you're just looking.
Almost just look.
Well,
And this is only true when you're at speed, because if you're under 15, 20 miles per hour, you're definitely not one with the bike. It's a clunky, awkward thing. You're like, this sucks. And then suddenly, like, oh my God, now you've transformed and it becomes one.
Yeah, I wonder how those like police rodeo folks feel about this whole thing, because they do some pretty impressive things about 2 miles an hour.
That's a good topic for a future podcast.
Yeah.
So, Mark, I have a question for you. We've talked before on this podcast about how riding can increase the serotonin levels in your brain. It can change people's moods. It can contribute to mental health and wellness
Like
for
chocolate.
many people. I'm curious if you is this whole book just from your perspective, or did you talk to people who say are neurodivergent and how motorcycling affects them? Because we have some in our group. Yeah.
You know, we did a podcast about it about
Yeah.
a year ago. Number 580, in case you're all interested.
Yeah, have you explored that neurodivergent, the mind of the neurodivergent motorcycle rider? Because you haven't.
And I haven't. And in fairness, I haven't really. It's not like I even went out and talked to motorcyclists and had them tell me about the experience. It's just
you
my
are
first
tonight.
person experience. What's the experience? And what's the science that could explain why it's so interesting? So that's really I was focusing on what I take to be, the universal aspects of it. That, but yeah, I'm sure there's other facets of it, and maybe other facets that neurodivergence experience differently.
So okay, well that'll be the next book,
right? So
That's
my premise
3.
anyway is I have no statistics at all. I still don't. You're on that. Neurodivergent people are overrepresented amongst motorcyclists, and I'm just, if you accept that premise, then we can explore maybe the reasoning behind it.
Neil, explain, like you were describing what motorcycling is for you, how it affects your brain.
Well, I tend to get depressed sometimes, and it makes me set that aside and focus on being in the moment while I'm riding. So it gives me an emotional a salve or relief in some ways.
Refuge.
I was diagnosed autistic when I was 3 years old, and back in the early 60s.
They even did that then? I mean, I don't mean that to be...
I was kind of on the leading edge of that. And so I had some of the classic symptoms. I was fascinated by spinning objects. I, valued routine very highly. Strange noises would set me off sometimes. I could read at 3 years old, so hyperlexia. A lot of the markers that, I don't know how valid they are today, but that's what they used to diagnose me then. So from a very early age, I was drawn to motorcycles. My uncle had a motorcycle when I was 6 years old, and I was always just hanging out, looking at it and just checking it out. And, sometimes I would sneak in and I would spin the tire and keep my fingers out of the chain. But so I just wonder what your take on that was as a person who's has a lot more experience and training and research in this area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not in any way an expert on this, and I've heard other sort of opposing theories even about autism. Is sometimes that they are less able to comprehend emotional expressions is one kind of way to. But then I've heard other views is like, no, it's actually they're over. They are more sensitive to it, which is why it feels so strong that they want to cut it out. It'd be like if light was too bright, you'd want to be closing your eyes because it's too bright. So I'm not really. I never really delved into it to become good at. But I do wonder. I just ask you. Could it be that you felt that you could express yourself because you can fully express yourself, but just in the language of the street, so to speak, on a motorcycle, as long as it's got manual transmission, Was it an expressive release that maybe as a human you were less willing to do, but as a werewolf in some sense, because you become this four-legged, powerful creature with different kinds of dynamics, the dynamics of a wolf, but and who can also communicate in an expressive way. Were you willing to express as a werewolf, but not as a human? And could that be why? I don't know.
Well, I the way I said it at the time is that well, yeah,
Fuck yeah, is what I said. I'm sorry.
More like weird wolf, but well, it allowed me to establish an identity for myself.
Yeah,
as an 11-year-old that, I was really struggling socially with, dealing with kids and not being able to read their emotions well, and, feeling fear about, well, am I going on too long? Am I boring them? When I wasn't able to pick up their social cues as well. So by riding a motorcycle, this is who I am. And it was something that I enjoyed for myself, and I didn't have to prove anything to anybody else.
Because you're cool. As soon as you throw a leg over a bike, you're cool.
Your cool factor goes up by 100% for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
Bagel?
Yeah, I wanted to mention also that yeah, I definitely feel there is an emotional, expressive component to riding. I mean, I think there is to driving as well, but with riding, you do have a much higher degree of expression. I think just in your, like you were saying, with your body position, how you're positioning the bike, how you're moving the bike.
Well, not just that, but it's a community. Driving is kind of a collaborative exercise with the people who are around you.
Sure.
And
yeah.
As a motorcyclist, you're able to do more than just use your turn
signal. You have
signal.
a choice.
You can wave. You can wave thanks for letting me by when I'm lane splitting, or you give the hands down to get people to back off from you. There's a lot more communication that you can do because you're out there and you're in the wind. You're
very visible.
Yeah, and you're very visible.
More than just a box with
and
flash.
it's really simultaneously often invisible, but yeah.
True.
And it's really clear what all those signals mean, right? So there's no decoding that really goes on.
Especially this one.
Yeah.
The pat in your head. So, Mark, I have a question for you again, as a newer rider than many of us. I'm curious, has it changed your identity? Because for many riders, there's an identity that comes along with it. And that can be related to what type of bike you're riding or where you live. If you're doing adrenaline rush or you're just a scooterist having a nice Sunday ride, whatever it is. So, Mark, for you, did it change your identity in any way?
I feel that it did. I mean, I guess it. I suppose that if it hadn't, I may not have been motivated to write this book. There's a sense in which I feel like it changed my identity, and I wanted to just tell people why it changed my identity, or why it's just a big deal. I think that is one of the motivations for why I went down this road of actually writing it, which is not. I mean, I've written 6 other books, but it's definitely not like the others in the sense that it's not like scientists have been asking this particular question for 100 years that it needs answering per se. But I feel like it really does need answering. And the hope is that, of course, as you guys read it, you're kind of like, yeah, I kind of knew that in my bones, but this is a nice way to flush it out that I wouldn't have, thought to think about this way. So I think it's because it probably, my identity has been changed. I think there's a sense in which, especially as you get older, sometimes you feel like life is sort of, all right, I've already gotten married, and divorced and married again. And then I've already had the kids, and kids are already out of the house. Like, there's a lot of things in life that kind of are these exciting, risky things that you were afraid of and you're done with. And as you get older, you're like, well, is it just going to be all the risks are going downhill? And now you've got this super risky, powerful thing. And I feel like I want to almost live my life to be strong enough to be worthy of being on that bike. And that's in some sense the sense in which my identity changes. I'm kind of striving to be always until my dying days, later, to be worthy of being on it, because it gives me a kind of thrill, and it shows me each day that life is risky, but it's worth living on the edge. Because if you're not living on the edge, you're not really living at all.
Well, Mark, would you say that all motorcycles are mojo cycles?
I mean, we can always pull up some super dorky motorcycle somewhere, that.
This is a chapter in his book,
Yeah,
Motorcycles.
okay. Mojo cycle.
But it's really hard to find motorcycles that don't just reek and exude lots of mojo. And there's something about the fundamental design that just happens because of where the engine is relative to that of a scooter. So you end up with sort of this large chest up in front, and the way the rider sits on it is inherently a little bit more athletic kind of poise than when you're sitting on a scooter, where you're often just sort of sitting like you're working at a coffee shop.
It's more.
There's a lot of things about it that lead to and have been selected for looking cool over time.
Yeah, it's
So
more
it's
wolf-like than deer-like.
Yeah, definitely. Scooters definitely look more like deer.
Motorcycles are wolves. Then I ride my scooters like honey badger.
Honey badger. Heck yeah.
There it is. Well, Mark, you're still on your first bike. What will your second bike be?
Well, I would really like to get a sport bike.
Oh, what kind?
I don't know the names of all the sport bikes.
Sure.
I'm not that familiar, but at some point, I'm not sure if I really need to own one, but I would love to have some experience, not going 140 miles per hour, but just having the experience of that level of power. My bike is, it's happy at 65, 70. It's probably been over 100, but it's not too happy after 70. And when I'm going 70, let's say, and one of these sport bikes goes by 140 and they just churn and wave and they scare the shit out of me because I didn't see them coming. I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking, what kind of experience is that like, just to be able to accelerate in first gear to 60 miles per hour? I'm curious.
I'll tell you what,
it's a tunnel vision thing.
Well, and leader bikes
really
are intoxicating. You get into the big sport bikes, and it's relaxing. It's almost different than what you think it's going to be. Once you understand, the linear power that you have, it's quite soothing. And 80 or 100 or 120 miles an hour, the speed becomes kind of irrelevant because the bike doesn't care. No, definitely step up. Get a big sport bike.
Well, and you're in Miami, correct?
It's intoxicating.
Yeah, I'm in Miami.
Yeah, so the perfect bike for you would be a stretch Busa with an LED underlighting kit.
And a sound system.
No, but there's so much value in experiencing all the different things that motorcycling has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what Mark's talking about is something that we've all talked about. It is that just trying something out can be so mind-opening in whatever way that is, whether Mark chooses to actually buy a stretch Busa or do something more reasonable, like sign up for a track day with a rental bike.
So I was going to say, this is where demo days and other motorcycle gatherings are great because you can test ride all these bikes. You can, and with no commitment.
Yeah.
You can try a huge variety.
One thing I noticed in the jacket copy of your book is that you've had an association with Yamaha Motors for several years. I was wondering if you could comment on that and what that relationship is.
Yeah, so they had found me through some of my other books on vision, and so I've been working in auditory illusions and how we came to have music. And so about 10 years ago, I started consulting with them on building different kinds of augmentation, let's say helmets, having auditory augmentation in various kinds of ways so that you can expand get back your peripheral vision, because the typical motorcycle helmet is preventing you from having your normal peripheral vision, and you can't see down below anymore like you normally can with your eyes. So you're losing a lot of your vision. And are there ways of using auditory signals to help bring that back? And even to get you parts of that you wouldn't be able to see even if you didn't have a helmet on, to provide some auditory augmentation telling you what's behind you. And how do you do that in the right way so that it is utterly natural to you and feels utterly natural? And so there are ways of using sort of music, and I have books on why music culturally evolved to be the way it was. It's culturally evolved to sound, in fact, like a human moving evocatively in your midst. It has all the signature cues of a human moving. This is why we love it so much, because it's really having all the grammatical sounds of what a human. So then you can utilize those cues that we understand in music and say, let's make the kinds of auditory signals and music-like signals that tell you that there's a mover, in this case a car, not an actual human approaching, let's say, that can augment the helmet so that you can just feel naturally, there's something there and it's doing this, it's moving in this direction, or it's filling this much of my visual field where I have eyes back there. And so it can be done supernaturally and not feel artificial. That's something like you like barcodes. No matter how much you have kids try to learn barcodes, you're never going to be able to do it. It has to be something that's organic and natural that their brains naturally can absorb. So that's the kinds of stuff
So
that
an
I
idea
learned.
comes to mind. The theme from Jaws would be something for a car approaching you.
So I have a question for you, Mark, and then we're going to be wrapping soon. It's been an hour already for them. I'm curious because you've mentioned that your wife, does she go on rides with you on the back of the bike?
Yeah, all the time. Yes.
So did she go through a journey too as a passenger? Does the passenger get the same experience as the rider does?
I think so. In the beginning, when we were lane splitting, and of course I was cautious at first because it's just a very new experience, and I didn't do it. I started riding in Columbus, Ohio, and you don't lane split there. It's not part of the culture. You could a little bit, but it's really weird. But and this doesn't come up that much. But in Miami, I can get anywhere in from any part of town, any other part of town in like 12 minutes. And it opens up the whole city. So it's really crucial to have a nice life here, to have a motorcycle and just get everywhere. But in the beginning, I remember she would slow down. Oh my gosh, you can't go that fast through these cars. But now, if she sees a gap that I could theoretically make and I'm not already on my way there, she's like, why aren't you through that gap between those two trucks? Like, why are you back here? Hit me on the back.
Move it.
She's already leaning forward, right?
Yeah.
It's like doing a little steering from the back, like this way,
So
this way, this way.
She's not scared at all, and she's completely adapted to it.
Does she push on the right side of your neck to go right?
She's my second eyes. She sees potholes that I don't see, and it's all the time she's directing.
I haven't had that experience with my wife on the back yet.
Oh, we'll have to tell her about the tricks.
I have had a passenger who is a good friend on the back to like do like a giddy up kind of thing to go faster as like a little squeeze with the knees. I'm like, okay.
Squeeze with the knees. I like
yeah,
that.
just like pat, and then it's like, all right, here we go.
That's great.
Well, Mark, I love that you found this new passion in your life that all of us have found, and that you wrote a book about it. It seems really fascinating how you break things down. A lot of times we can't really understand or explain what we're feeling, and you seem to have really put that all in a book. Jim, 1 second. I wanted to make sure you got a quick one. Go ahead.
If you want to expand on this topic a little more, get a dual sport motorcycle, a dirt bike, and write a book about the difference between dirt and street. I think when you get
number 4
now we're on volume 4.
Yeah, volume 4 is get a dirt bike, because I think all of a sudden, I don't know, it makes you vulnerable in a whole new way.
It's more primal.
I would love to, but Miami doesn't have back roads.
No,
it doesn't have hills. It doesn't have dirt.
I travel a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Track day is a great idea. Yamaha is associated
Champ
with
School,
Champ
School.
in
that'd
Champ
be
School.
great.
Well, Mark, I wanted to give people an opportunity to check out your book themselves. Where can people find it? Where do you want them to go?
They should go to Barnes & Noble. For some reason, Amazon, it's just the publisher's having trouble. Like, Amazon has all of these quirks, and it's just the physical book's not there yet. It's at all the other Amazons, Amazon UK, Amazon India, all over the world. But the USA one, the ebook is there, but the physical book is still not popping up. It's still kludgy. So, but Barnes & Noble has had it for quite a while. So I would go to Barnes & Noble. You can get all the varieties of it.
And if they're interested in finding out other books of yours, should they go to Changizi.com?
That's right, Changizi.com. You can find my 6 other books on, why we have music and why we see illusions, and my last book on emotional expressions, what they're for, how they work.
And that is spelled Changizi.
Changizi. Now, for one of our lucky listeners, Mark, you had offered to send us a book, and I said, let's give it away. I hope this offer's still good.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you know what? I've got a good game here. I figured let's play a mind game with our listeners. And I've got a riddle that I am about to read to everyone. The first person who emails us with the answer at motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com will win a free copy of Motorcycle Mind.
Ooh, okay.
All right. So I'm going to read.
Ready.
I'm going to read this riddle. Mark, don't shout it out if you know the answer. Anyone else, don't shout it out. But if you think you know it, you can tell me after the recording. All right, here is the riddle. Born in the land of the rising sun, in 69, my reign begun. 4 cylinders sing a legend's tune. I changed the game, not a moment too soon. With disc up front and power to spare, I'm the super bike that made riders stare. What classic machine am I?
Well, I was born. Is it me? I was born in 1969.
And you were,
Hey.
yes, I know. That's why it was perfect.
I think you're going to have a full inbox as soon as you release the podcast.
Well, we'll see. I was testing the field out during the garage today, and less than half knew the answer. The ones that knew it right away, and the others weren't quite sure. So, if you know the answer, send the answer to us at motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com, and in the subject line, just put "I want that book." Well, Mark, I wanted to thank you for coming on and sharing. I mean, this is something like I mean, this is what we do. We sit around the garage and talk about the psychology, and we get into it. I think we could talk for hours with you about riding. But I also am looking forward, to the future as you're having more and more experiences like what we are describing. There's so much more to discover out there.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a pleasure to be here. Great talking with you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And I put your link in the show notes. So check out Motorcycle Mind. It's pretty cool.
Right
All right.
on. Cool.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Thanks,
you can
Mark.
just close your computer. We're going to keep on going. And you have a good day. Thank you very much.
Good night, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you,
All right.
Mark.
See you, Mark.
Bye.
That was pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, smart guy.
Oh, I know. I'm like,
Lots of
I could
questions.
see we're
We
all
could talk
just
to him
like,
for a while.
we could talk forever with him. But I wanted to cover some news stories.
There's
that
a
we
lot
have.
going on out there.
There's a lot going on. One of the things that was interesting, I mentioned I just came back from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was there like 2 years ago, I was becoming very aware of the electric bikes and electric scooters and electric motorcycles. That was part of the whole controversy there about what's legal. And the police were doing roadblocks. And I even saw videos of them tackling, like delivery scooterists on sidewalks.
It's like a major form of delivery there now.
Oh, yes.
So Amazon in New York City is nutso.
I didn't see as much this time. I didn't. I know. I mean, I was just in Manhattan. There's a lot of boroughs there, but I used to like take pictures and I'd see stuff, or even, you're trying to cross the street and suddenly this like fast kind of Suron type bike comes. There's just a lot of e-bikes, but I think either we are acclimating to them, whereas before you'd have a pedal bicycle and then e-bike, but now it's just all e-bikes. So now you're more acclimated because they're going the same speed. I did not see any of the cheap Chinese electric motorcycle things that I've seen before there. But what I did see on more than one occasion, I heard the rumbling of engines. So, you have to look. And here came kids on quads and dirt bikes, no license plates, no helmets. Some of them wearing like bicycle helmets.
So you saw this.
Doing wheelies through Times Square. I saw it twice.
Whoa.
Wow.
Through
Doing
Times
a
Square?
takeover #bike life.
Yeah. And at one time they were
But
like,
there's a lot of people in Times Square.
there were cops out and they just like watch them go by, like shake their head, but not chasing them.
Yeah.
And, you know what? For me personally, I take offense at this, even though I'm a hypocrite because I have participated in these events that
Hooliganism.
Mhm.
but
Hooligan.
on
Guilty.
certain occasions, yes. But it really bothers me. But even so, we are on legal bikes. We are licensed. We're taking a risk, but we're insured. And these are kids who are out there on quads and dirt bikes and just ripping it up and having fun, just going past cops and just trying to bait them. And to see that twice was pretty crazy. I'm all for kids having fun, but not when you're going down Times Square.
So, like gas-powered dirt bikes, electric dirt bikes.
Yep.
Was there a dirt bike of choice? I'm
No
just
electric.
curious.
No.
What do you go to? Like, what's your New York do a wheelie dirt bike?
I don't know. In San Francisco, I've seen a bunch of two-stroke dirt bikes.
Really?
Right by
Just
Fishing
fooling
Wharf.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Two-strokes.
Yeah, just going through.
Wow.
Right where they load up all the cruise ships and all that.
Yeah.
And these guys would get right on the sidewalk, doing wheelies down the sidewalk. There's, older people with their bags trying to get on
A lot
a
of
cruise
major
ship.
cities have these
So
clubs of kids.
Are they just buying two-strokes for the sole purpose of this
Not
hooligan shit?
necessarily buying.
Yeah.
Or I mean,
So if you want to
Acquiring.
learn more about it,
Yeah.
there is a great documentary called The 12 O'Clock Boys.
Oh,
yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
that was a good one.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of an offshoot of sideshow culture, I think.
It is. It's another it's another culture, and that started in Baltimore, the 12 O'Clock Boys, and it has spread to every city, and it becomes a problem for motorcyclists like us, and it just creates a problem for all of us. So that I didn't like seeing. Jim, you've got some news there to share.
I do. You
You're
printed it
on
up
it.
big so I could read it.
This is another
so-
big thing that
So
happened.
this was kind of heavy. I know,
Yeah.
and there were pictures involved. So I don't know if you can show them pictures, but anyway, in news, 17 people were injured when multiple motorcycles crashed and caused a fire in the southbound express lane of Interstate 35 West near Heritage Trace Parkway in far north Fort Worth on Friday night. So 17 people and fire in the express lane.
Yeah.
What a
10
nightmare.
10 ambulances and eight fire trucks responded to the scene and transported 4 patients in critical condition, 6 in serious to hospitals in Fort Worth. 7 additional people involved in the collision had minor injuries. About 15 motorcycles were reported to be involved in the crash. So 15 motorcycles.
Yeah.
They
So
do things bigger in Texas. What can we
Yeah.
say?
Oh my goodness.
So, not a lot of information on this, but they were all sport bikes.
You showed me some pictures of
There were
literally
pictures
burned
of like
to the ground
burned to the
motorbikes.
ground sport bikes. And apparently, what happened was there was a group of people riding out. I think, or like in the evening, like 7 o'clock, something like 8:30, somewhere around there. And the one in the lead blew a rear tire.
Yeah, flat tire.
Which caused a chain reaction of crashes and then fire. Like, I don't know why so many bikes caught on fire and burnt. And I guess maybe it takes one gas can to get ruptured, one
Busted fuel
gas tank,
line.
something like that.
Yeah.
And how this chain reaction happened because when we ride in staggered formation, you should be able to avoid something like that, or many should. So no comment. I had no idea on the speed they're riding.
What they were doing.
It's like the
what
whole
they were
group.
doing.
It's like
doing
the
at the
whole
moment.
group.
If
They're
they
actually
were
caught on
stunters,
fire.
or they're just a group of friends
Yeah.
out on, Gixxers and R1s.
And
Don't
while we
know.
know 17 people were involved, we don't know how big the whole group was.
But it
True.
is, but it is crazy to think
Or
that
how
that
fast they were going.
many crashed.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that maybe speed was involved. Otherwise, you should be able to have the time to avoid.
Well, time and space. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
Group ride.
It like
man. Watch out.
blocked the road for like 7 hours or something.
Yeah, but if it is on a crowded freeway too, you also have less escape routes as well.
Yeah.
The last time I heard something like that bad, and I almost hate to bring it up, was somewhere down south when that guy was carrying a trailer and it kind of fishtailed across the entire road in a big group of Harley guys. It was like a military memorial ride too, and it killed like 15 people. But anyway, it's not often you hear that many bikes in a crash.
So we got another news story that Scottie's about to share, and this one is interesting because it's not really in the news, and I think it's pretty big news.
It's wild news. I mean, and we've kind of touched on some aspects of this when we were talking about things that are happening in New York and unlicensed riders. We've talked about people riding very closely, potentially in a non-standard formation of some sort. And one of our most populous states, New York State, has this weird gap right now in licensing ability for motorcycles. The state, New York State, has been contracted with MSF for the last 5 years, and this is a contract that renews every 5 years. Well, that contract came up for renewal. In fact, expired last September.
Yeah.
They got an extension until March, which is now passed. And that has now expired. Now, some point in the middle, another company has filed a protest against their continued or renewed
they had
contract.
it seems like New York State decided to sign another contract with MSF, but then a competitor is appealing that, protesting it. And so they never signed the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no contract. So as a result...
So the old contract has lapsed. The renewal has lapsed. They're in some kind of arbitration now, potentially with the comptroller of the state. And really what this means is that this whole thing is like licensing for motorcyclists in New York, and of whom there are a lot. They licensed 17,000 riders last year.
Wow.
This is the schools.
Yeah,
all schools.
Yeah.
I mean, technically somebody can go take the test and get a license if they...
You can technically still go through it, but even then, the license testing, the road testing at the DMVs in New York State is heavily impacted. It's very difficult to get in and do that. The AMA even has gotten involved at this point.
Yeah, because what this means, every motorcycle school in New York was told to cease and desist in March.
And many of which are...
Every single one.
Are women-owned businesses.
Wow.
Exactly.
Really?
Largely a women-owned business operation in New York State.
So we actually did a little bit of investigative journalism, and we reached out to somebody who owns a school. We're not using their name, just we wanted to find out from their perspective what's going on and why this isn't a bigger deal. That every school in New York was shut down. They're not allowed to teach, with the exception of private lessons. But that is
but these
an
are
aside.
They can do the private lessons, just like the one that you took. You went out to somebody's private property, you took a lesson there, but that's a different thing than becoming licensed and getting the road certification.
So
all of a sudden creates a pretty big barrier to entry.
And did the lessons, you wouldn't get the waiver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't get the riding waiver.
For over a month, all schools in New York have been shut down, and the schools are not being told when this will be renewed.
Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Nothing.
And this is really, 17,000 people got licensed last year. This has been lapsed for a while now, and nobody knows what's happening. But in fact, this has become a tragedy because one person who was scheduled for a class, they were going to go and take their licensing class on a weekend. Well, licensing classes are now canceled. You can't go to your class. That person died in a motorcycle accident on the weekend they were supposed to have been in the class.
Jeez.
And this happens every 5 years. Like, they knew this was coming.
Yeah. So we don't know what's going on. They're not giving anyone answers what this delay is, what this means, how long it's going to be. Really don't know.
Nobody
knows.
Something
something that we are investigating and hope to get more information, but this seems like a pretty big fuck up on somebody's part.
Yeah.
So if you're a resident of New York State, what can you do to...
Yeah, so the AMA has gotten involved. They've put out an action request or an action notice to write to your representatives, which, I mean, it's valuable. I love doing it. But it's of questionable usage here. So
efficacy.
Yeah, but that's what the AMA has asked us to do. If you're a resident of New York, write to your representatives and say, hey,
did they have some
get it together?
Thing about getting ticketed not that long ago too, like they were ticketing them in a disproportional amount in New York State.
Yeah, we covered that a couple years ago.
Yeah, what was that?
They were doing motorcycle only checkpoints, a lot in part because of all these unregistered bikes.
Right.
But every motorcycle was being pulled over, and then they were finding problems with some of the legal motorcycles.
Doesn't sound like a very motorcycle friendly state.
It's actually unconstitutional. Because you can't single out a segment of the population.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and this is big news because we don't know what's happening. We don't know exactly what's going on, and this is one of our most densely populated states. So the places where we all know, just like Mark was talking about, in densely populated areas like Miami, like Los Angeles, like the San Francisco Bay Area, it's the best way to get around as part of a good life. And people are being held back.
So there you go. If anyone out there has any more information, let us know. We want to keep up with this. I have another story, and this is just something I found interesting. I saw a post on Facebook from somebody that I know that they had ordered a helmet from a motorcycle helmet from, I think, Germany. You know, European have helmets have different specs. A lot of people will get what's the
ECE.
Yeah, but the one BMW sells the Schubert. It's like you if you want a good helmet, very good helmet, it's not uncommon to go buy it. Well, somebody had ordered a helmet from Germany, and it was due to arrive, and they got a notification from UPS saying that it will have a $123 tariff that they need to pay before they deliver it. But thankfully, UPS is now set up so you can go online and pay your tariff, and so they will deliver your package once that is done.
Oh, man.
A $123 tariff on a helmet.
That's ridiculous.
Well, you know, Schuberth helmets are not cheap.
Not cheap.
They're not, but still, that's, I mean, I
The
thought there was supposed to be
efficiency
like
in
a
collecting money
limit.
is always surprising.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Don't try to get a refund.
This is just something to just beware. I mean, we're still kind of waiting to see how these tariffs are going to be affecting the entire industry. In fact, this week,
Good reason. Buy a new bike if you never needed a reason.
The MIC, the Motorcycle Industry Council, is holding a symposium this week to talk about that exactly. I think I might see if I can jump in on that, just see what they're saying.
And just on a consumer advice tip,
Yeah.
If you do get a package that is hit with a tariff of some kind, ask for proof that the tariff was actually paid, just to make sure. Because our friends at Cleveland Moto mentioned on one of the recent podcasts that there are some unscrupulous actors out there who are apparently charging tariffs when they're not actually paying the tariffs in the first
They're
place.
charging stuff on older stock that,
Saying, we had to pay a tariff, but they didn't really.
And isn't it interesting that that you pay for it online, but then UPS now needs to collect your tariff?
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, may want to check that out if you're buying. I mean, anywhere you need to ask and not be surprised by that. But I thought for our last news segment, we'd go with something that's a little happy and uplifting. Neil, you have a news story there. It's more to our area. Good news for our area, not for everyone, but still a win for motorcyclists.
It's a big win. So I for some reason this popped up in my Facebook feed from the Rob Report of all things.
Oh my goodness!
About I don't know if are any Porsche heads here. But there's a builder in Southern California named Singer that basically will take a 997 or a more current Porsche chassis and put an older style body on it.
Yeah, Singer's quite well known, I think, worldwide.
They're quite, yes. And so Singer has teamed up with an equity firm to acquire Willow Springs Racetrack.
Yay!
Wow,
nice.
So I think did we talk about this, or maybe not? It's been in the news a lot. Willow Springs, which is one of the racetracks not too far from us, that had been shut down because it was for sale and somebody had bought it. And when I was reading a lot of the posts on like the Bay Area Riders Forum and that kind of stuff, everyone was like, well, here comes another mall. You know, everyone's just under the assumption that it would be purchased, even though this is out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, Willow Springs is not near anything.
It's like Taft.
I think there's a Motel 6, but it's out off of Highway 5, you know, like in the desert. And I was like, I bet you it's going to be another Amazon Supercenter or something, you know?
Distribution center.
Distribution center. So this is the assumption everybody made. But who bought it?
To the rescue.
So Singer Vehicle Design, the famed Porsche 911 gurus, just became a co-owner of Willow Springs International Raceway. Singer bought the Southern California track along with Cross Harbor Capital Partners, a private equity firm, which has plans to not only keep the track open, but also invest in it. The track has been going since 1953 and has hosted NASCAR races, one of the first motorcycle endurance races, and early kart road racing. Drivers including Ken Miles, Michael Andretti, Nigel Mansell, Bob Bondurant, and Carroll Shelby have also run the course. The Ford GT40 also spent time testing there before winning at Le Mans. So one quick fact, that Ken Miles owned that track for a while in the 1960s. For over 5 decades, owner Bill Huth, it's spelled Huth, so maybe Huth, kept the track going. Huth died in 2015, but ownership of Willow Springs stayed within his family despite many reported offers over the years, including a 500-pound offer from Miles, a $30 million offer from foreign investors, and a $100 million offers from land developers and other potential big money deals, according to this website. Finally, Willow Springs was put up for sale last year, and many feared the worst for Big Willow, which calls itself the fastest road in the West. But reports emerged this week about what would be a happy ending: ownership by Singer Vehicle Design and private equity, which means that Willow Springs will stay open as a track at the very least. So, no, we don't intend to have any permanent closures here, Sam Byrne, a managing partner of Cross Harbor Capital Partners, told Motor One. In the short term, we are going to make safety improvements immediately. We have more ambitious plans, but those require a longer process. Singer, meanwhile, will oversee the design of changes at the track, while the new owners will be putting together a team to build out facilities. All this likely comes at a price. Motor One says that it will be as cheap as $200 to do a track day at Willow Springs, a cost that will likely go up. But for now, events scheduled for the rest of the year will go forward as planned. Willow Springs having a track club element, something in vogue at tracks around the world, also seems inevitable. Still, the new owners sound less likely they have big profits in mind and more like they are realizing a passion project. So this is awesome.
Good.
We like passion.
Yeah, it's
passion
really cool.
over profits.
And Willow Springs is a little further away from us here, but very close to the LA Basin. It's up in the Antelope Valley area. So,
well, and I love they're going to make improvements.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential at that track. It is a fast track. It doesn't have a lot of elevation changes. But so great to hear that it's not going to developers.
Yeah.
You know, we hear lore about all these tracks that have come and gone in this area alone. So it's nice that this one is going to get a little bit longer of a life.
and get some love.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, Singer, for stepping up. It'd be interesting to see what they do with it.
Keeping up with the good news. We got a couple emails. Bagel, you get yours ready.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I have one. I think they're both good emails. I think you're going to like this one. This one is from Mark, and he says, "Thanks for the tip. D-1, where D is increased by market information." Hector, do you know what D-1, what that formula is referring to?
Divorce -1?
That is it. Divorce -1. That is our formula for the right amount of bikes.
Whichever model motorcycle you want, you get to take home tonight.
So he says, "Greetings from Minnesota. A couple of weeks ago, you mentioned how low the market was for used bikes and the likelihood of it going up with the tariffs. I mentioned that to my wife, and she was convinced. I am now the brand new owner of a 2013 V-Strom 650, in addition to my 1982 Yamaha 650 Seika. She does want me to sell the Seika. I do have a little bit to do to get it sellable. But anyway, thanks for the tip," and sent pictures of his new V-Strom.
Well played.
Is it an XT?
Well done.
You tell
Spoke
me.
wheels?
Oh, I'm not
See
sure.
how happy Neil is as a V-Strom.
But yeah, I just took that and convinced
I had
his
a way
wife.
to run with it, man.
Yeah.
Lemons and eliminate.
Nice.
So it sounds like for him,
Awesome.
D-1 is
Is actually N+1.
It's T plus one.
So the great thing about that bike is it's very comfortable for two people, more so than other middleweight bikes. And I think your wife will enjoy spending seat time on the back.
Oh, good
I can
endorsement.
attest to the 650 being a good two-up bike.
nice. All right, Bagel, you have one there to read?
Yeah, I have an email here from Mary Kay Bruden.
Mary Kay, we love Mary Kay.
Oh,
She says, "Life is happening."
Life is happening.
Or pink car.
Yep. It says, "Hello, you badass motherfuckers."
Mary
I,
Kay. There you
I
go.
love to hear it, Mary.
I heard my name mentioned on a recent podcast, and I just wanted to catch y'all up on the happenings. Tree Fitty got her rear wheel bearings replaced.
Ooh,
Also, the spokes got a good rubbing with polish and a shoestring.
wow. That's a
That's
trick.
a trick,
Oh,
yeah.
that's some OCD.
And then life happened, and it was good.
Oh,
I packed up
this.
my wife, soon to be ex, bought her a travel trailer, and
She wasn't
moved
in
her
a box,
ass
was
to
she?
New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Huzzah!
Huzzah. 23 years with an alcoholic is no fun,
Oh,
But
sorry to hear that.
life-
Mary.
but life is good now. I'm not looking back. Now that I have my beautiful home to myself and that it is official swamp ass season here in Northwest Florida,
Here we go. Yes.
at Old Tree Fitty, we'll be moving into the living room where the AC is set to 73
Yeah,
degrees.
there you go.
Climate controlled.
Congratulations
humidity
on your new
is-
roommate.
Humidity is oh so very low. How classy is that? Hmm?
No, it's trashy actually, but well done nonetheless.
That is the good news. The bad news is I cannot make up my mind on what new motorcycle to buy.
Mm.
I need a small CC for now, and I oh so badly want the 2025 Triumph Speed 400.
Mm.
But I went and sat on one yesterday, and I'm 2 inches short. That's what he said.
But a bump.
I need
Can't scratch that
confidence
itch.
and balance of having my feet flat on the ground for my first riding back. So I went and sat on the Kawasaki W230. Perfect fit. Fucking looks great. A little too low on the horsepower though, but fuck that price. They quoted $7,200 out the door.
Yeah.
I can get the Triumph Speed 400 with all the newbie protection items, engine guard, sump plate, radiator guard, etc. included for that price. Ugh. I know I can get kits to lower the Triumph and get a lower profile seat, but I am not 100% how much that will lower it until I buy and do it. I don't have enough experience to feel good about taking a chance like that. Anywho, now I'm looking at Honda fucking Rebels.
There you go.
I sat on one of
Good
those
choice.
also, and it felt really right for me. But damn it, man, I'd rather ride into Barber this year with a Triumph than a Rebel.
Mm.
Honda Power Sports doesn't even show up at Barber. I wish we had a local Royal Enfield dealer here. A Meteor
Yeah.
350 would be perfect also.
I completely agree. I was actually thinking that would be the perfect bike.
Yeah, the Himalayan has a pretty low seat height too.
Yeah, but it doesn't look quite like the other bikes she's looking at.
Yeah, and a little more standard kind of thing. 'Cause I was
Yeah.
thinking Ninja
Do-
400, but that's probably too sport
What?
bikey.
Do y'all have
know.
any advice or ideas? My plan is to choose ASAP before the fucking tariffs make a new bike buy impossible. Thank you all. Y'all are shit. You are the shit.
Oh,
Mary
yeah.
Kay Bruton.
Both.
I think the Rebel 500
Guilty.
it may be manufactured in the U.S., but I'm not sure about
That
And,
could be.
you
Yeah.
know, otherwise, there's probably a lot of them still out there that
Yeah.
she could find, and I
Oh,
think
sure.
she'd probably fit her needs pretty well.
that. Yeah. Well, I can tell you that bike does dirt.
What about like a
Yeah,
like
Michelle.
That's true.
I'll just throw this out: a used Ducati Scrambler.
Way
might
too
be
tall.
might be too tall. No,
Okay.
Way too
Yeah.
Well, Mary, I've got some good news for you. And this is actually an announcement that I'm making as well.
News and announcement.
If you like Royal Enfield or you're interested in Royal Enfield, I can finally announce a project that I am a part of.
Oh.
Yeah. So Royal Enfield Vintage Rides, who
Uh-huh.
I went to Peru with, that does those great tours.
Wendy
at
Crockett?
with Wendy Crockett, and Be Crash Free, have all joined together and have created riding schools for the Himalayans. And I will be one of the coaches.
Awesome.
And they're having the first classes for anyone who wants to come and learn how to ride a Himalayan. It's kind of like the poor man's GS. A lot of people want to learn how to ride an adventure bike, but they don't want to have a big adventure bike, budget or trips. The perfect bike would be a Himalayan 450. So, this is going to be, the first two classes are June 4th through 6th and June 6th through 8th. And it is going to be in Boise.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Idaho.
Yes. and it's powered by Be Crash Free. I believe you can go to becrashfree.com and you can find more information there. I'm going to be having Wendy come on and talk a bit about it soon too. But the other thing, Mary, I just want to remind you, when somebody says they want to sit flat-footed and so it rules out a whole lot of bikes, we like to remind people here that it doesn't have to. That there is a method. Some people call it the tripod method. Jocelyn Snow is a champ at this. You don't have to be defined by your inseam. You can ride bigger bikes, but there is a technique to learn. And it's putting one foot down and finding that balance point where you're supporting it on one foot. And I mean, we've shown a lot of people here in the garage how to do that. And then I remember there was a gentleman here and I put him on my CRF 250 and showed him this technique. And it's a drill. We're going back and forth, left, right, left, right, because you got to build up the muscle memory. And I remember him just going blown away because he's like, you've just now opened the door to so many bikes I never thought I could ride, including dual sports.
Yeah. So I'm not super tall. I'm 5'8", and on most big dual sports like the KLR, for example, they're pretty tall. And the thing is you got to shift to one side, and so you have to kind of plan as you're coming to a stop. You got to. And usually you're best off putting your left foot down first because the road tends to crown away. So that's going to be the higher side. But that's not always the case. So as you come to a stop, you're kind of looking at the road and you want to pick which one is closer to your foot.
Yeah, well, to his credit, Stumpy, right? He's not the tallest guy. And we ride
He rides a KLR.
Yeah, well, and we ride dirt bikes, KLR or the DRZ 400.
Yeah.
And like I said, to his credit, he can't really touch the ground without getting his butt off the seat. And we're in the sand and we're in the rocks. And so it's doable. It doesn't make it easier, but yeah.
Yeah, I live that 1 foot life myself. On my 1290, I tiptoe on it, but at stop signs, I get one solid foot down. Sort of that tripod method, and I've always ridden taller bikes.
As I was going to say, as someone who's 5'3", you just get really used to reading the road and just noticing any unevenness in the road, avoiding stopping in a transition, and it becomes second nature over time. But at first, it is something that is okay, I'm thinking about this very consciously, and if you're a newer rider, I can see where it's you're getting used to so many other things. Having this additional on top of it is extra spicy.
Yeah. And I may be close to 6 feet tall, but I've never been able to flat foot my XR 650L or my new Husqvarna.
Well, and I'm curious, Steph, because you've been riding a while, Steph, is what motorcycles have you owned?
Have I owned?
Or have you ridden because you said you're 5'3".
I've ridden a lot of different bikes. Again, I love doing the demo days. And I don't know what tall bike.
What have you owned? What have you because you have that BMW now, right?
I have the BMW. That one's a bit like cheating. That one has an unusually low seat height.
Is it the Funduro? Is that the?
I don't think so. It's a cross country G650 cross country.
Okay.
But it's the 2009. They lowered the seat by an inch, and I think I got it 7 or 8 years ago. And that was a thing that I'm great. Makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah, I'm just saying because you're the expert in the room.
On being short.
Well, riding motorcycles with a short inseam, I'll say.
I don't know. I don't. Nowadays, I'm not intimidated by. I like going to demo days because I just like trying different bikes. So the Tenere, the 700, I haven't tried the bigger one. Pretty much anything that I can reach the controls on, I'm willing to take it out.
Because the Tenere is still pretty tall. The 700 is not.
I actually really like that bike.
Yeah.
Well,
it feels like a big dirt bike.
If you wear wedge heels, does that count as a flat foot?
Yeah. Well, Mary, again, don't let your inseam define you. You can do it. Find the bike that you want. I do love those Triumph 400s are amazing.
Oh yeah.
And if you can get somebody to spot you, just the trick is easy. Have them hold the bike upright and you simply put your right foot out. And here's the trick. Most people put their leg out and wait for the ground to come to their foot. The trick is slide your hips over, keeping your left foot on the peg, slide your hips over, get your right foot to the ground before the bike starts leaning. In fact, you want it to keep the bike upright, and then have them hold the bike as you go back to the other side. Swap over, put your foot onto the right peg, get your left foot down while keeping the bike upright, because Hector, you know, how much does a bike weigh standing straight upright?
0.
There's no weight to either side as long as you keep it upright. Happy to teach you the technique. Come on out to the garage. Spend a day here like Hector did.
Yeah.
In fact, all visitors are welcome. We appreciate it. So come on out and join us if you can, or check out the Be Crash Free Vintage Rides Royal Enfield Himalayan School in Boise in June. Yes.
Cool.
So yeah. But thank you, Mary, for sending your emails. We
love hearing from you.
Keep them coming. In fact, I want
And
more.
Bagel's interpretation.
Yeah, I know. I want more emails. Send them to us at motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com. Keep it coming. And yeah, if you want to enter the contest to win a book.
I would especially love to hear about people who think their perception of reality has shifted from riding a motorcycle.
I don't want every
Right.
crazy emailing us.
And make it a riddle.
Oh. Also, one more announcement. The shirts are here.
Oh.
The shirts have arrived. They look good. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That's
excited.
awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going to be starting to ship those out. So look for shirts being shipped out. If you haven't yet, it's not too late to go to Motorcycles and Misfits at motorcyclesandmisfits.com and click on the store, and you can get one ordered. Yes, you got one last thing.
Just
Jim?
a reminder, Misfits are going to the desert next month in May. So May 15th through the 18th, we're going to go to Moon Rocks after checking out Pine Nut. Moon Rocks, I think, plays a little better for our scene, at least this time. So 15th through the 18th of May, come on outside with us. Moon
Be
Rocks.
cool, bring wood.
Yeah, bring firewood. And it's almost close enough to Reno. You could stay in Reno and come out and ride for the day. But anyway, it's BLM land. We'll be lighting stuff on fire and all that. Come on out.
Go.
I'm riding sheet iron that weekend.
Oh,
I mean, my first time. I've wanted to do it for so
That's
many
so much
years.
fun.
That,
Oh, you'll
We've
have
done
a good
it.
time.
Cool.
Yeah.
very, very
Desert
cool.
will still be there.
All right, and check out Mark Changizi's book. It's pretty cool. I think on that note, we're ready to get out of
one
here.
more thing. One show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, right. Neil, you're coming.
Yes.
Neil's coming.
Ears included.
That's right. I got to put in the request for you. We're going to be building our little camp. It'll be fun. Big thanks to Patreon and all of our listeners. We do this for you. Thank you so much. Time to get out of here. This is Liza.
This is Hector.
It's Neil.
Scottie.
Naked Jim.
Bagel.
It's Steph.
And we are out of here.
Cool.